Hey, welcome. We're going to be talking about intuitive blocks for each zodiac sign and what to do about them. So it's a Libra full moon. Let's see, do I have a lighter, or is this the story of my day where I can't find anything I need? Well, no lighter at the second, but I would have burned a creme brulee candle because Libras add so much sweetness to my life. Also, I feel like berets are a Libra thing, so yeah, I'm going with that look today because Libras are just amazing. If you're a Libra, I automatically love you. So happy birthday season. I want to do an extra special live for you. Because we have people in the room now, do you mind letting me know if you can hear me okay? There's a little tech thing going on, so Salem MA Mom, can you please let me know if the audio's okay? You can just like hit the hearts or something to let me know. Right, not getting anything right now. Please tell me if there's a problem. Okay, cool, we're good, awesome. So, in me not being able to find things today, I wanted to use Astro Dice to randomly select what order we're going in, but they did not show up. And so we're just gonna go start with Libra, and I'm kind of gonna jump around a bit just to keep it shaking up, you know? So Libras. And I definitely recommend paying attention to your moon sign specifically because the moon has a lot to do with our intuition. But just pay attention to any that makes sense for you. I'd be very curious to know which planets you have in any sign or other placements you have in any sign that you resonate with, because I have a theory about a few other placements that that might be related to this. So yeah, if we're on a sign you're like, I feel this, I have Mercury and Venus in this sign or whatever, that'd be fun to know. But moon sign, definitely pay attention to your moon sign. So Libras, the block to your intuition is that you second guess yourself and then you don't take action. So something you Libras understand is reciprocity. And because that's a big part of you're seeking balance, right? You're balance seekers. And so with intuition being a relationship, reciprocity is really important. Because like your intuition is giving you information, and so the way you reciprocate is by acting on it. You know, like that's how you have a give and take relationship. You get, like, your intuition gives you information, you give your intuition an action. That keeps it in balance. And so when you are second guessing yourself, that's saying I don't trust you to your intuition, right? Don't want to do that. You want to show that trust and follow up on the information you're being given. So that's my number one tip for Libra moons and other Libra placements. Let's see. Just keeping notes here. Here we go, different writing utensils. All right, let's do Aquarius next. Aquarius. So with Aquarius, the issue is that you think too far ahead. Like we need Aquarius. Aquarius is awesome. It's the reason we have all of this wonderful technology is this Aquarius energy, right? And you are thinking about the future. You're very socially conscious, and so you are thinking big picture, long term, all of these wonderful things that we very much need. But when you're just, you know, getting information from your intuition, it's generally more immediate. And so you don't want to fall into that trap of being all like, okay, so I got this piece of information, but let me consider the long-term impact, and does it fit in with this and that? And being so aware and so conscious is a gift, but like sometimes you just are out there instead of in the moment. So you want to be more in the moment. And so the tip for you is that you are a master of the weird in a really good way. You know, you live with a lot of strangeness, and so you can tap into that innate knowledge you have that things are always shifting and being okay with those shifts. You know, you can embrace change really well. And so like just going in and being like, okay, things are strange. It might not make sense at first. I'm kind of like going around here. Trust that you can navigate it, because you navigate change pretty well if you want to. And so, yeah, we are talking about trusting that you can navigate things as they come up, and that you don't always have to consider, you know, 10 years or even days ahead. Sometimes you just need an answer for the next 10 minutes. All right, bouncing around, let's go up to Aries. Aries, your intuitive block is that you go with the first thing. You get an idea that something might be a good idea and you go for it. And yes, we need that fire and motivation and go people. And also it's that opposite thing of the Aquarius, where it's the long-term thinking. You're just all like, oh, let's do it. That's not always the best idea. And so when you are getting intuitive information, you just don't want to go, well, like, okay, sounds good. You want to check in, because sometimes there are multiple right answers. Sometimes other things come up before the best answer, right? You kind of have to sometimes go there, like, you know, your feelings might come first, your thoughts might come first, something someone else said might come first, and so you want to sort through a little bit before you take action. And a great way to do this is that when you think you have your intuition telling you something, you might want to do both a yes and a no version of it. So it works kind of like this. Whatever your sense of how you're feeling, like, oh, that's my message, check in, like, it's like, okay, you know, is it a good idea for me to go to the movies tonight? Then check in like, okay, in a positive sense, is it a good idea to go to the movies tonight? Or what can be gained from going to the movies tonight? But then also would it be beneficial for me to not go to the movies tonight? Or what would it be like if I didn't go to the movies tonight? And then you have something to compare with. You've looked at it from two angles, one more positive and one more negative in terms of terminology for how they're phrased, right? And so just taking a little extra time to settle in and make sure is going to help a lot, because there are a lot of great options in the world. And if you go with the first thing, you might be missing out on something that's even better. So just take a moment. You're great at taking action. Just know your options a little better. You know, your options are going to help you. All right. Virgo. Some of my favorite intuitive people are Virgos. Virgos can have excellent intuition, but Virgos tend to get caught up in details and methodology. So in terms of details, this is something that will happen a lot to most Virgos. No matter where you're at with your intuition, where it might be like, oh, okay, so your intuition's all like, oh, take a different way home from work. And then it's all like, okay. And instead of just turning on a different street, you're like, okay, well, like, I need to like plot out my whole, like, what does a different drive home look like, right? And you're like, well, then should I be like doing something? Is there anywhere I should be stopping? And really your intuition is just all like, nope, we're avoiding an accident here. Just like, you know, instead of getting in a car and being like, okay, I'll know when to deviate. It's that like getting caught up in the details, right? The other one is getting caught up in methodology, and methodology can be how you are using your intuition. So if as a Virgo, you're like, okay, I read tarot cards, you might get so caught up in studying every single possible meaning for that card that you're not actually listening to your intuition. You are getting stuck on the method. And so, yeah, so those are your traps, are around like the methodology and getting caught up in details. And so you just got to listen to your heart sometimes. Listen to your heart, listen to your gut. It isn't always about figuring everything out ahead. You are great at figuring things out, but your intuition sometimes just is you know, it's your gut, it's your heart. So trust that too. So let's move. And a reminder, we are mostly focusing on moon signs here, but I am curious with any of these that resonate, what planets and other placements you might have in these signs. Let's go with Scorpio. Scorpio moons tend to make things too complicated, right? Because Scorpios are so good at finding secrets and have such a capacity of having them, you are often thinking that there's more to something than there is, right? It's all like, I need to uncover all of these layers. And when it comes to intuition, your intuition is often there to kind of help you circumvent complications. So when you are trying to suss out all of the secrets and information, you can really miss the point. You get caught up in that same trap, and it does, like, your intuition should be, I mean, sometimes it'll be uncomfortable, but ultimately it's reassuring. And so you miss out on that when you get like making it complicated. Scorpios can be very, very intuitive, and it can help you find all the secrets, but consider whether or not it's relevant. Do you really need all the background information? So you don't want to get caught up there. Gemini. Gemini moons, your problem is that you don't turn down your brain chatter and other Gemini placements. So you have a lot of internal dialogue, a lot of thoughts going through your head, and with our intuition, it generally requires some level of open space for it to step in. So if you have a constant monologue in your head, or you're constantly replaying conversations, or whatever it is you're doing, you are not leaving as much space. And so you need some amount of space for those messages to come through clearly. So if you're getting the sense that you're getting a message, don't jump into analysis mode. Don't bring it into the brain space. For you, when you're getting intuitive messages, if you're doing it on demand, or if you sense that one is coming on, really take the time to slow down, calm down, grounding. So doing some meditation would be good. If you are actively seeking intuitive information, having a little ritual that you do can be awesome. And so you just have a way of teaching your brain, like, okay, conscious mind, you're awesome. You take really good care of me. You can go relax for a bit, go chill. We're just gonna get some other information right now. So you want to make space for that intuitive information and not have it immediately engage with all the brain chatter. Imagine, like, if intuition is one of more quiet people, right? So if you have like a quiet person walk into a room full of Geminis, they might have something great to say, but they might not feel like they can get a word in. So it's not that you're ignoring all the other, all your Gemini energy. It's just that you can take up a lot of space in your own head. And so you want to have room for that, like, quiet person coming in. Let's go to Taurus. So Taurus, your challenge with your intuition is that you don't want to leave your comfort zone. I love you because you have this desire to have like a safe, comfortable, beautiful space to be in, but you can't be guided to the next thing if you are so attached and cling to what you already have. There are upgrades waiting for you. There are so many upgrades waiting for you, and so you will want to learn to trust. Trust that what is meant for you, what is going to be better for you, will come to you, and that does often require you leaving your comfort zone. And so something that might provide a little bit of that comfort is that whatever your higher power or intuition or whatever it is that you trust, when you're going to do something where you step out of your comfort zone, say like, okay, I want this or something better. Because it's like, you might know what you want, but your intuition can often guide you to something that's even better. And so when you're saying this or something better, it opens you up to stretch because you are coming from a place of knowing that you're moving towards the best possible thing. So that is what I would encourage Tauruses to do, Taurus placements, Taurus moons. So since we're jumping around, let's move to Pisces. Pisces are great at getting intuitive information. They are like the masters. And so the problem that Pisces run into is that you enjoy getting the messages so much that you don't actually act on them. You are just so caught up into like, wow, that was an amazing download, or oh, I had this great connection, and you get so caught up in those experiences and how amazing they can be and all the many things you can bring through that you aren't doing anything with it. And ultimately that's escapism. It can be beautiful, it can be very spiritual, it can feel super meaningful, but it is escapism. It's bypassing if you're just all like, well, let me do like 20 readings on this thing and then don't do what the readings say. You know, it's like, it's not a good way to develop a trusting relationship with your intuition. You know, you can enjoy the moments, and you can also create stronger connections when you do take the time to act. All right, just going through what we have left. Let's do Leo. Leo, your problem is that either your pride or your heart tends to get in the way. Leos can be very self-protective. That's where a lot of those ideas about vanity or like being full of yourself or whatever are. It's like you want to protect yourself a bit on some level. But Leos are also very ride or die. And so your heart can get in the way when you care about someone else, because you're like, oh, you matter to me, you like, I'm ride or die for you, like, yeah, I'm not going to do anything that goes against this relationship or whatever. And so again, either your pride or your heart will get in the way of doing what your intuition tells you. And so you need to become a bit more objective. You need to step back. This isn't necessarily going to work for all things, especially when there's like a lot of emotion evolved around, perhaps. Well, anyway, you can kind of try to do that thing where you step back and say like, what would I want for this person I really care about? So if you were going to be completely honest with someone and seeking the best possible outcome for them, like, come from that place. See what your intuition tells you there. And just kind of make it more of a what if scenario. What if someone else? So that you can access that information and then apply it to yourself. Because if you're immediately coming from the place of self, then you know, you will stay in that bad relationship because of your heart. You will not do that thing that might potentially embarrass you because, you know, that hurts your pride. So you do need to have that little bit of space, even if you have to artificially create it by doing what ifs, by imagining other people. But that is what is going to be helpful for you. Cancer moons. I know this one well because I'm a Cancer moon and other Cancer placements. Cancers will mistake feelings for intuition. Kind of similar to Leo in that way that, like, if there is strong feelings, they will interfere, but it can really be any feelings. And so you really need to sort out what is intuition, what is just your feelings, because Cancers are actually quite willing to act on things. They, you know, you think of like the crab in its shell and all of that, but they also, like, you know, have those pincers, they can attack. They'll do things. They'll just do them on their own terms, where the crabs walk side to side, right? Cancers will do things their way. And so feeling is usually what motivates action in Cancer placements. You are coming from an emotional place. It's a water sign. So when you have those emotions that are moving you to action, feelings can seem like intuition. If it goes like, oh, I have a bad feeling about this, then you're just going to assume that's your intuition because you have a bad feeling about it. but perhaps it's not really a bad situation. Perhaps like this person you met looks a lot like someone who hurt you in the past, and so without thinking about it, you're like, I'm getting a bad feeling, but really you're just being reminded of someone from your past, and you might miss out on a great opportunity if you just go by that feeling. And so my advice for Cancers is that you want to feel what you feel first. So whatever it is you're feeling, don't immediately assume a message. Don't assume it isn't, but just feel it, move it through your body, because avoiding feelings creates a lot of messiness inside. Feel your feelings and then go back to it at a different time. Like sometimes we do need to make immediate decisions, but if at all possible, it's better to feel those feelings, and it can be a really good idea to not go back to making a decision until you've slept, whether that's a nap or the next day, because sleep kind of helps reset our bodies. And so you are not going to get as caught up in those emotions that you were potentially mistaking for intuition to begin with. So feel your feelings, put some space in there. Let's see, what do we have left? We want Capricorn. Capricorns, you dismiss your intuition when it does make sense. Capricorns are, you know, there's a reason they're called the CEO sign. They are very success oriented, and whatever success means to them, it can mean a lot of different things. And so you want to do the things that make sense to get where you are. It's an earth sign. It's very practical that way. And so my reminder for Capricorns is that having it make sense is often not the way to success, right? You think about all of those success stories where someone is all like, I'm gonna do this thing, and everyone's all like, why would you do that? But that is what ends up revolutionizing things. Like I remember when Twitter first came out, I was all like, this is the dumbest thing ever. Who cares what you had for lunch? Obviously I was wrong, right? So, you know, you want to remember that like things don't always make sense to begin with. A lot of inventions come from a place that don't make sense. A lot of success stories, like someone finds a niche that is small, and you might be all like, why would I invest in like something that seems to only apply to a small amount of people? But if it's like a really good solution for that small amount of people, then you're better off having like a high adoption rate from a community than a low adoption rate and kind of like the general public on something. So Capricorns, remember, it doesn't have to make sense. A lot of successful people just follow their gut and will do the things that are risky, that they might not entirely understand, because that is where there is a lot of potential gain. So let me make sure I got everyone before going to the one I saved for last. All right, Sagittarius. I saved Sagittarius for last because it's a very interesting one. So what I've said, if you saw my reel that went through all of these blocks, is that Sagittarius are blocked because they enjoy the chaos too much. I did get some messages about this, but yeah, no, it's Sagittarius can kind of thrive off of chaos a bit. And it's not because they're really disruptive people. Sagittarius are just learners. They're like advanced learners. And so when you are an advanced learner and a Sagittarius, the way you learn is through life. Life is your lab. And so if you're thinking that a Sagittarius is like learning from what's going on, then that chaos actually is a lot of data. And so there's not this need as much to have everything be neat and tidy, because like you don't learn as much from that. So, you know, if things run too smoothly, how are you going to get that data? And so you got to remember, Sagittarius, that to manage that chaos, to make it work for you and to learn from it and to have it be useful, you need to like have a safe and peaceful place to land. You don't always have to be the experiment. Sometimes you can observe. Some lessons don't have to happen in these challenging ways. You're so smart. You have so many ways you can learn. And so, you know, before instead of being all like, let me just go with this really chaotic, messy situation, I don't know, read an autobiography of someone who was in that situation, or watch what happens to the people who choose to do it. If your intuition is saying like, you might not need this particular lesson, then don't. And when you do feel that need to experiment, have it really much be experimenting towards success, right? Moving towards things that are going to be helpful for you, that are going to move you forward, not just ending up in these messy, bad, chaotic situations for the sake of learning. You know, you want to have more of that goal, because Sagittarius can be very spontaneous. Like, ooh, this is interesting, but when you know, it's also the archer symbolism. So, you know, you do best when you have like a good aim. And so, you can learn a lot from life. That's what you do. But when you have that direction, when you remember that you don't need to be a part of everything to learn from it, you can have a better relationship with your intuition, because it'll help, like your intuition will be really helpful because it can help you sort that out. Your ability to learn from life can be a strength if you don't get caught up in the chaos. So that was all 12 signs. And what might be blocking your intuition. So again, I highly recommend following the advice for your moon sign, but any number of these might apply to you. If you felt like any of them resonated particularly strongly, I'd love to hear from you, along with what placements you have in that sign. So if you're like, totally got that Capricorn, I have my Neptus and Uranus and Ascendant there. You know, like, I want to know because I have some theories about other placements that I think can, that these might apply to, but I want to hear from people to actually substantiate them before I just throw out it. I'm like, what about these placements? I think they apply. But moon will definitely, because moon is intuition. And if you found this helpful, I invite you to... Okay, disconnect me. If you found this helpful at all, I recommend clicking on the link in my bio, intuitionmagician.com. Through Sunday, I'm having enrollment open for an 8-week course. It is super awesome. It's going to be so much good stuff. There's going to be 4 pre-recorded modules released every 2 weeks, and on the in-between weeks, we'll have group meetings. There's workbooks, downloads, all sorts of specials. Please go check it out. It's really, really cool, and I'm really excited about it. And I'm not going to take up more space on this live to talk about it, but please check that out, because this is just a small sampling of all the things you can learn about intuition and how to work with it. So I'd love to see you there. DM me if you have any questions, and tell me which ones you resonated with and what you have in those placements. So in the comments, DM me, whatever it is, I'd love to hear from you. So happy new moon in Libra, and yeah, follow your intuition, but make sure you unblock it first.